You know, I was just in Pittsburgh at the G20 conference. The G20. The greedy 20, I call them. You know, the ones who got together in Pittsburgh just to plan how to rape us harder and pillage the planet faster, right? That's what they get together to do. I was there, but you know what we would tell the stormtroopers? And they were stormtroopers, trust me. Have any of you seen Star Wars? You know the white Imperial stormtroopers? Our stormtroopers look just like that, only they're dressed in black. It's kind of scary. And so they would tell the stormtroopers where we're going to gather. You know, oh, here at 1 o'clock we'll be in Arsenal Park. And so what did the stormtroopers do? They surrounded Arsenal Park. And then it wasn't crowd suppression, it was crowd attack. They would attack us, disperse us in thousands of different directions, and chase us down. So my piece of the action will be that we'll be in 10 different places a day, and we're not going to tell them where we're going to be. And that'll just diffuse the police state from coming down on us. But we're going to tell Obama, and we're going to tell Congress, and we're going to tell the powers that be that we're not going to quit until our demands are met. So this is ambitious on the scope that we're doing it. This action might last for months. Well, it probably will last for months. But next year is what we like to call in America an election year. And politicians, all of a sudden, in election year, recall who they're supposed to represent. And then they start pretending like they represent the American public instead of the corporations. So I think that we have a very good chance this time of actually changing our activism into policy change. We've never done that before. In many, many years, we've never created a grassroots movement in America that has led to actual policy change, especially when it comes to war and peace. So those are the two major things that I'm doing, because I'm sorry, I'm tired of marching from point A to point B. You know, we call a march. We're going to march from McPherson Square to the White House. And then, you know, we're going to go home and have beer and pizza and congratulate ourselves for going on a march. Well, my feet are worn out from marches. My hand is worn out from signing petitions. And I will not subject myself to the humiliation of asking what I call the robber class in America for what is rightfully mine. Peace is rightfully mine. And everybody's. Security, prosperity, those things belong to us. They belong to the people. There are human rights. But in America, they're stolen from us. In America, 2% of the people own 90% of the wealth. We're what they call a first and second and third world nation, you know, and we don't have rights in America to health care. We don't have rights to a home. We don't have rights to a job that is meaningful and pays a living wage. But the robber class has all that stuff. But the robbed class, we have nothing. So what we have to realize worldwide is that, you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for peace, and it's a struggle for economic equality, for sure, you know, especially other peoples around the world. But really what it is, it's a class struggle. You know, so we're all, I imagine, in the same class. I'm in the same class with those cops that tear gassed me in Pittsburgh. I'm in the same class with the cops that shot me with that sound cannon. Do you guys know what a sound cannon is? It's a long-range acoustic device, and it shoots sound and sound waves that actually make you feel like your body's burning. And there's no defense against it. I guess we can wrap ourselves in, I don't know, lead. I have no idea. But what they're figuring out better and better ways to suppress dissent, and violently. So how do we do something that is constructive yet diffuses the violence of the state. That's what we have to figure out. Even though our protests have to be peaceful, they have to be nonviolent, we have to figure out how to protect ourselves from the state and yet get what we need to do accomplished. So I hope that you feel energized, feel the need to join the anti-war movement, the so-called anti-war movement in the country, which, you know, the anti-war movement's basically standing here in front of you, you know, with a few hundreds of other people. But to realize that it's in this class struggle, there's billions of us. There's billions of us to a few of them. And they realize that's our power. So what do they use to control us? They use the media. They use fear. In America, they use the appearance of having free and fair elections to control us. So these are the obstacles that we're running across in America, and some degree, to a lesser extent, the anti-war movement here in Sweden is, and around the world is running across. So I hope that this isn't just you guys coming to hear me talk. I hope that you are going to translate what I've just told you into action. If you are doing a lot, do more. If you're doing nothing, there's a lot of room for improvement. But we all have to realize that it's not for us. People tell me, Cindy, get over it. Why don't you just get over it? What are they telling me to get over? That my son's dead for no reason? Are they telling me to get over my anger? My activism? And then in America we have this saying, 15 minutes of fame. Did you hear that? I think it was Andy Warhol said, in America everybody's going to eventually have their 15 minutes of fame. And so people tell me, Cindy, go away. You've had your 15 minutes of fame. And if that was my goal, I could have gone away like 5 years ago. But that's not my goal. My goal was never to get my 15 minutes of fame. As a matter of fact, I probably had at least a half hour. And with that fame comes a lot of pressure. With that fame comes a lot of attacks and demonization and responsibility. But I'm not doing it for fame. Probably for the last 2 years you barely heard anything about me. But I was working my ass off. I was running for Congress. That's like one of the hardest things people can do. So I'm not doing it for fame. I'm doing it to make a difference. I'm doing it so our troops, the U.S. troops, will come home from the Middle East. And that's the bare minimum that I want. I want U.S. bases closed all over the world. I want my country to start spending money on housing and health care and education. This whole health care debate in my country. The right says we have the best health care system in the world. I'm like, yeah, if the countries are 38 or below, because we're number 37. So this is what the struggle is for. Is it for me? Is it to bring my son back? No, that's never going to happen. But there's babies that are being killed. There's babies that are being maimed. There's babies that are born handicapped because of the poison that the U.S. military-industrial complex, not just in Iraq and Pakistan, Vietnam, here in Europe, has spread all over the world. That's who we have to fight for. It's not for us. It's for the children of the world. And if we realize that every child in this world is each and every one of ours responsibility, then that's when we would create true change. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I want to leave time for a lot of questions. So, Krista?